Welcome to our wonderful wisdom circles, myths to feed and nourish the wild woman. I am so excited for this because I'm Sophia from Sacred You. We have the honor of hosting today's wisdom circle, but more importantly, the absolute honor and the joy of having our beautiful facilitator, Samantha Whittenberg, to come and tell us the story all about this. So, Samantha, I'm going to hand it over to you. Of course, I'm going to be part of here, but welcome and thank you for facilitating your very first wisdom circle.
Mm. Wow, yes, thank you, Sophia. This is exciting for me, definitely, and a newish thing in my life, doing storytelling. So I want to welcome beautiful Sally Ann, and beautiful Catherine to be here to support me, as well as hopefully to get something out for yourselves, and anyone that's watching the recording and anyone that is watching live at the moment. Welcome. Um, there is human time and there is wild time. And I'd like you to get ready to go into wild time, to put aside your human time, your domestic concerns and your to-do list, and really settle in for a story. It's not often that we get to hear a story as adults, and it's special, and we need stories just as much as children do. But somehow storytelling at some point became something that we do for children rather than us as adults. I'd like to change that. And so, yeah, do whatever you need to do to get comfortable, taking a deep breath. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths together, because we're going into a different kind of time. Just coming in fully into the present moment, noticing your body and your breath. And noticing anything that comes alive in you when you think of wild time, or wildness, or your wild nature, or the wild woman. What feelings does it evoke? Maybe what sensations in your body? And feel free to move as well. I'm standing, so I might move around a bit. Yeah, feel free to move as you listen. This is a story that I first read in Women Who Run with the Wolves. Hands up, who's familiar with Women Who Run with the Wolves? You kind of, you know the vibe, you know what Clarissa Pinkola Estés' messages are about. Thank you, some of you do. And this story is called Sealskin, Soulskin. It's a variation of a story that is told in mostly the countries. Has anyone heard of the Faroe Islands? It is this little group of islands somewhere between Scotland and Iceland in the middle of the ocean. Just incredibly remote, and of course surrounded by ocean. But these stories are told also in Ireland and Scotland. And I wanted to say something about the stories. These are cold places, of course. so cold sometimes that when people speak, their sentences, I like the way she says it, their words freeze in the open air, and whole sentences must be broken from the speaker's lips and thawed at the fire so people can see what has been said. And in one of these places, there lived a man who was a hunter. And this man was so lonely that his tears had actually created deep, deep furrows in his face. So many tears he had shed in his longing for human company. Sometimes in his kayak, he came across seals, and he remembered the stories about when seals used to be human. And all that remained of that time were their eyes. And if any of you have seen or come close to a seal, they seem to be really human in that sense, the way they look at you. So like tomorrow or tonight, it was actually a full moon night when this man went hunting again out under the full moon in his kayak. And he wasn't successful at all. And on his way back home, he noticed something, some activity happening out on a huge spotted rock. He paddled a little bit closer quietly, and what he saw on that rock was a group of naked women dancing in the moonlight, having the most wonderful time. You can just imagine that. And imagine this lonely, lonely man. Well, of course, he was completely hypnotized by the sight. And he drew near quietly, trying to keep himself quite hidden. But as he came close to the rock, he saw that these women were very special. They were these Selkies that he had heard about in the myths, because he saw the skins lying on the rock. And he got hold of one of the skins and he smelt the skin. He could smell the whole ocean in the skin. He could smell this incredible life that had been lived in the skin. And it was intoxicating. So he boldly scrunched that skin into his parka. By this time, these women who had, talking about skin, their skin looked like the glittering of salmon in the springtime. And they were getting ready to dive back into the ocean. They were putting their skins on. But of course, one of them kept searching everywhere for her skin. It was nowhere to be found. She was the last one remaining on the rock. So the hunter, somehow he just got this surge of courage in him. He stood up and he said, "Woman, come and live with me. Come and marry me." "What? I don't belong up there. No, I belong down there. I'm not of that world. I can't come with you." "Oh, just for 7 summers, and then I'll give you your skin back." Well, she didn't have much of a choice, did she? So off she went with him. She said, "I'll stay with you for 7 summers, and then we will see." So off they went, and very soon there was a child, and they named the child Uruk. And the seal woman used to tell Uruk when she lay in the teepee seeing the shapes of the clouds up above, she would tell him about the seals and the sea lions and the whales and the dolphins and show him how the shapes looked like those creatures. And time went on. But seal woman, her beautiful skin that was like the salmon started to dry out, and her eyes started to fade. She even developed a limp, and her beautiful plumpness thinned right down, and she got scrawnier and scrawnier over the years as the years went by. And one night, Uruk was in his bed trying to sleep, but he heard his parents arguing. And he heard his mother say, "I want what is mine. I've been here for 7 summers." And his father saying, "No way, I'm not giving you back your skin because you will leave us. You will leave your child and your husband. You'll abandon us. You're a bad person for even thinking about that." And as Uruk, the young boy, listened to this, he was, of course, feeling very disturbed. And he heard a sound coming from the ocean, a distant sound. Uruk! 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 What was the sound? He quickly put his parka on. Even sideways, he was in such a rush, he put it on sideways. And he ran down to the ocean. And on the cliff overlooking the ocean, he saw a huge silver seal, a huge silver seal, like a grandfather seal. And he saw the seal calling to him. So he ran even closer down the cliff and down towards the sea. And the seal disappeared. He banged into a rock, he stumbled, and then he saw something had rolled out. It was his bundle. It was a skin. He smelt the skin. He knew immediately this was his mother's skin. And very excitedly, he clutched the skin to himself and ran back home. His mother was overjoyed because she'd been really worried about where he'd gone, and overjoyed because there was her skin. Now Uruk realized this might mean she would leave him. He said, "Please don't go, Mama, please don't go." And in some versions of this story, she goes off on her own and leaves child or children. But in the version I'm going to share with you, she takes him down to the shore and she takes a deep breath in and breathes into his lungs. And she does this 3 times, 3 deep breaths, like we took at the beginning. And into the ocean they go, and she takes him into her world. And there's a big celebration and a party. And that big grandfather seal, that silver seal, with his huge whiskers, he says to her, "Daughter, how is it going up there?" She says, "Well, you know, I haven't been a good person. I had to leave my husband. I've had to leave my husband, but otherwise, well, I'm really happy to be here." And immediately her skin is starting to revive itself. She's starting to plump up. And the big seal says, and is this my grandchild?" Yes, yes, it is. And he is so proud, but he cannot stay. They agree, mother and father agree. He cannot stay. It's not time. He's not ready. So sadly, they accompany him back to the shore and off he goes back home. But before he does that, she tells him, Uruk, I will always be with you. All you have to do is touch the things that I have touched. My musical instruments, my drum, my beads. Touch those and I will be with you. And Uruk became a great drummer and storyteller. And even to this day, you can sometimes see him out on his kayak near a huge spotted rock. And he's kneeling down and he seems to be talking to someone or something there in the water. Thank you. So, so what happens now is that we want to continue to feed the story because the story has fed us. It has fed so many others over the years. And we want to feed it with our wisdom and our love, our feeling. So I'd love to hear from anyone who wants to share. Where did you feel something when I was sharing the story? Which part of you, which part of the story touched you in some way? Just give me a sec. And yes, please introduce yourself just before you share. Maybe just a sentence or two about what you do in what work you do. What is your precious work in the world?
I can
Or
go.
anything else that you want to share about yourself if it's not about your work. Thanks, Catherine.
So hello everyone. I'm a leadership coach, an intuitive healer, podcaster, author, and an international speaker, and I empower mothers to reclaim their powerful know and their voice in this world so that they can live a life that's truly aligned to who they're meant to be. So this story was very resonant because so often as mothers, we have that guilt about choosing ourselves. But sometimes, you know, with her skin gone and not being who she was truly built to be, you could see her fading away, like her life energy fading away. And sometimes we are faced with that impossible choice of choosing ourselves or our children. And sometimes choosing ourselves can be the greatest lesson that we teach our children, you know, and it can be such a juxtaposition in itself. But sometimes I feel her taking her son down with her and showing him what her life actually is gave him the understanding of that he can be there one day too, but he needs to let his mother go for now, but she'll always be with him. And I found that such a powerful reminder that we need to build these beautiful foundations for our children, but show them that it's okay to honor yourself and choose yourself, even when everyone else is telling you that it's not necessarily the right path.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, ditto to what Catherine was saying there. I'm Jo Irwin. I'm from the far north of New South Wales. I also work with women who are, living an unaligned life that really want to tap into their true power and move forward with ease and grace. So a lot of women living in anxiety and fear and stress and overwhelm, and it doesn't have to be that way. The story resonated with what Catherine said, but also, you know, how do we find ourselves in these situations of turmoil? And her being in isolation and her being with herself, but also honoring her family, and that, you know, that decision to leave at that point so she can nourish her own soul, she can be with herself. And also resonated with, we don't own our children. We do not own them. They've come for the lessons that we can teach them. And so they can also fly and flourish and nourish, you know, live in the world that's so full of disharmony, I guess, and destruction. And to be the catalyst for that, so you can show them the way, is a really powerful position to be in, and honoring that self to be, because I know a lot of women have a challenge when children leave home and they're empty nested. They say, I'm empty nested. Like, what does that mean? Like, for me, it was like, yoo-hoo, the fourth one left. I'm like, I'm out of here, you know. I've done my job. And, you know, people who know me, my family are the most important people. But I just knew it was their time to fly. And most of them left around 18 after high school. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is amazing, because a lot of my friends, their kids were still at home in their 20s and 30s. So it was very foreign. So I feel like just allowing your children to experience what we've taught them to experience out in the world, and always be there. But we're always there, right? She was always there. She said, just go, you'll find me through spirit, through connection. It's just like when somebody in our life passes away or passes on, they're always with us. It's just the humans that we're missing, the human side, that the physical we're missing, not the connection we have always in our heart. So what a beautiful story, Samantha. I'm going to go get the book.
Yes, and there are many stories or many archetypal myths in her book, and she shares incredible wisdom about each one. Yeah, thank you so much for that share, Jo. That's just really feeling your heart. Anyone else?
Thank you for sharing that story. Truly beautiful and so well told. And I really appreciated listening to that. Thank you so very much. And for me, it was very powerful when she went back down to the ocean and put back on her skin, because it's just really stuck with me, because we need to be true to ourselves and who we really, really are. And as Jo said, we are always connected. And so she will always be connected with her child. Child will always be connected with mother in some form or another. But if we're not being true to ourselves, we can't be truly authentic, and we can't, there's almost like a dissonance. We're not living in harmony with our soul and with our spirit. And I forgot to say, I'm Sally Ann Joy from Elevating Consciousness. And what I do is I assist people to remember who they truly are, that they are so much more magnificent than they realize in this body. There's so much more to them than this body. There's so much more to people than their life experiences that they've had in this lifetime that often weigh us down and limit our beliefs. We are so much more than that. And so this story really, really resonated with me, in that this
mother, this woman, she agreed to for 7 years and to have another life, but then she realized this wasn't who she really was, and she had to come back to her roots, and that would have taken a lot of courage and a lot of difficulty in leaving her child, but to knowing she was always connected and she would always be able to support through energy in some way or another, but she was living her authentic self. And I think this is such a powerful message in this story, because for all of us, we need to wake up and realize who we truly are. And this is the way we can help others. We can support our children by being authentic in ourselves, and then we can support them and we can shine our light and assist them to shining their light and supporting them in doing that and being who they truly are. So thank you for such a beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally Ann. Just gonna let the dog just a sec. Come on. Doggies scratching at the door. Thanks so much, Sally Ann. And yeah, that can see how that really ties in with the work that you're doing, what you've shared. Beautiful. Janaki, did you want to share something? You froze. Is she frozen, or is that
Yes,
okay.
am I frozen, or can you hear me?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, okay, I'm driving back home. That's actually, I showed up today because of our sound journey was very much in alignment with what your transmission is. And so I was sharing with Sophia how I felt called to show up naked again. I had a masterful class on I Am Prosperous. And in that morning, I committed to my devotional practice. And so it was raining. So I took off all my clothes. And that's where I received the message about rain is bringing in the rain of creation, like the rain, the REIGN of the rain of creation. And the rain is our sacred structure. The rain is our feeling world. And that's what purifies, is the water within our own bodies. And so for my masterful class, I showed up live naked. And it was my representation of shedding those stories, of shedding those layers and identities. And it's been such a powerful, profound, I'll say an alchemist journey, because I got to experience one of my highest highs from that experience, because it was such a fulfilling experience, and witnessing what everyone got to receive, showing up in such full vulnerability and authenticity simultaneously. And then like later on that night is where I got to go down into the valleys and be in the perceived heavy energy. And that's where I was telling Sophia, that's where we discover our gold. We may not recognize it when we're in the valleys. We recognize it when we're in the mountaintops. So we can't see it in the valleys, and we're like, this sucks. And so like the very next day, not only did I have my health returning as I speak. So I have been simply being in my naked resting state of being, and that's what I heard is I've been in creation mode so much, so my action is non-action. And so I rested and was horizontal most of the day yesterday. And so and then I also here we are, I'm about to facilitate I Am Courage this Friday. And one of the things I said, I'm witnessing how powerful that we all are, and quantumly, like the awareness with our words, we're calling in how quickly. And one of the things that I wrote in the description of I Am Courage is courage to persevere through your fear. So what do I get to have an opportunity? Getting a phone call saying my dad's in ICU, and the dog, and he fell because walking the dog and punctured his lungs. And at that moment, I had no clue if he was going to make it. And meeting one of my biggest fears, and then remembering, oh my God, 2 years ago of I Am Courage, I got to face this with my son, and it was 3 days after my biggest fear, and getting a phone call, he stopped breathing. So there's something around lungs and breath is about choosing life. And so the pieces are starting to all be put together. It's so wild when we commit to showing up naked in our raw, authentic self, like the layers that we shed. And so I showed up, and that's what our journey, our quantum sound journey, was about today. Was standing in our naked truth and allowing even those layers that we don't even know that are there to dissolve, those unseen layers to dissolve, because that's what it is constantly dissolving those layers, those identities that we've taken on with ourselves, those stories. So yeah, I really thank you for sharing that, and it was so beautiful to witness you in your shining, and the way you lead so beautiful. I'm grateful that I listened to the call and I showed up. So I am a sound weaver, a soul seer, and a quantum igniter. I love to ignite our God spark in one's heart, and I serve as a mirror, muse, and a mentor. So I love being used as God's muse, playing music. I receive massive transmissions through music, and so yeah, that's I mean, I could go on, but that's really not important. And so some of you I do know, and that's been my commitment, is simply listening to my heart and doing things that make no sense, like showing up naked to a live when I was asking my true self, I'm like, what clothes am I gonna wear? And I heard, do you have courage to show up with no clothes? And I'm like, what the fuck? What? Okay. And so it's a deep trust and surrender into my ultimate guidance, and even when things make no sense, I still do them anyways. And then letting those tapestries, those threads, weave together this beautiful tapestry that we may not even know, simply by the trusting and surrendering. So yeah, I'm at this part of my journey where I'm in a deeper trust and surrender. My dad's still in ICU. He's doing much better. And I'm already witnessing the miracles from the experience. My mom's found a deeper appreciation for him that she didn't know. She's also discovered he requires more touch, so she's committed to doing that. My sister got to lay down and snuggle with him. She's older than me, and she got to lay down in the hospital and do cranial sacral work on him and support him. And so my dad's receiving the love. It sucks it had to happen this way, but he's receiving his love that his little boy in him has asked for. And so that's the blessing in this experience. And yeah, so that's
Thank you.
like the shedding.
Thanks for sharing that, Janaki. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear he is, yeah, that you're already seeing the gifts of that experience. And yeah, you're speaking about, you know, nakedness, rawness, and the skin. Yeah, just being naked is our wild self. Like that's one way to just connect with that wild self. That is the self that we were, you know, that's what we were born with. I had no idea this was going to be happening, but this week, and in fact this morning, yesterday and today, it's been a process over the week, but I'm working with a skin of a wild animal, which I've done before. It's a very, very emotional process for me, and the smell. And I don't know if you've heard the story of the fox woman as well, where just very briefly, a woman who's a fox woman comes, and lonely man, and she starts to sleep with him, cook for him, and all that kind of thing. He says, you know, I love you so much, but could you just put your skin, you know, you hang up your skin in the hut every night. Could you just, you know, get rid of that, because the smell is so overwhelming and so overpowering. And she just ignores him. And then time goes on and he says, look, you know, you've really got to get rid of that skin. I've had enough. And she and the next day when he comes back from the hunt, she's gone. She's gone, her skin's gone. he no longer has any of those gifts that company that she was sharing with him. So yes, it comes with, it's a messy thing. It's a really messy thing, dealing with an animal and a skin and the smells, and it's really, you know, visceral, it's earthy, it's raw, it's hard. But I'm mentioning that because I'm just blown away about of how the story and sharing it for the first time with Sacred You, in Sacred You, and kind of for the first time without reading it. And I'm physically working with a skin this week, and yeah, just incredible kind of, I think for me, confirmation of how powerful this story has been in my life.
It is. Can I just share, Samantha?
Yes, I was going to ask you if you'd like to share, Sophia.
Well, yes, thank you. And you know, these stories are very, very powerful. And for me, they're a representation of our true story. You know, before we took birth into this physical body, you know, the seal skin is our truth. It's our intuition. It's our reality. And then we, as a spirit, as a soul, you know, and then we take birth into the physical body and we forget our inner truth. We identify with the physical and forget who we really, really are. And it's not till we take off the physical and put on our seal skin, on our original identity, our true identity of being like a spirit, that we get back into that connection with who we are with nature. We get back in connection with our true, I mean, I'm going to say true tribe, but our true community, whether it's seals, whether it's foxes, whether it's other spirits. But right now, in general terms, you know, we're caught up in this, what I call a false identity of being physical. And that's where we wither. I mean, for most people, I'm not saying all, but for a lot of people, when we get caught up in the physical world, our true abilities, our innate abilities of connecting with the divine and everything else that's involved with that withers away, goes away, because we're so caught up in the head, we're so caught up in here that we forget who we are.
Yeah.
It's coming back to our reality.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's really beautiful, because what's coming to me is that the vision of running with the wolves, running with your pack, being with those who, you know, lift you up, empower you, and are one with you outside of the human self, right? And that real, raw, authentic, just being and living who you are. And I think the skin also represents the masks that we wear in certain situations, because that's how we've been taught to be in the world and how we've survived. And often it's kept us really safe, but it's time to just, right, let that wild roar out. You know, I've done many sessions in a padded room, would you believe, in the 90s, just to come home to myself, to release all the crap. And it was very wild. It was like I had facilitators, but it was so liberating. So when you talk about having the skin, Samantha, like the physical wearing of that, that's powerful. That is like a metaphor for what you are, I guess, committed to becoming or being. Like it's like that cloak of who I am. This is me. It's a statement. It's beautiful. And I love what Sophia just shared there too. When we come down in the physical form, it's not who we are. It's what we've become along the way. So let's let go. Let's roll together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Sound.
time to remember who we are, because humanity, I think, needs us to remember who we are. We need to step into the authenticity of who we are to be able to support humanity as we make this transition and as we move into higher dimensions. We can only do that if we open our hearts and realize we're all connected, and that we are so much more powerful than we realize, and we step into that power and work together as united beings to have that recognition and know that we are all connected. And this suit, this meat suit, if you want to call it that, is not who we are. We are so much more.
I relate with so much of what you're saying, and it's also reminding me of confirmation, because I am delivering a prosperous portal that is it's a God vision through me, and I've been receiving the messages, and that's what it is. It's beyond a course or a program. It's the remembering, and it's the coming together in our remembrance, and it's the holy return back into our home, and that is part of our home journey, is the letting go. It's the shedding of those old identities, those old stories. So what you're saying is so, yeah. and that's one of the things, is like the cover of the book I create, I say God through me is created, is it's about an adventure of your soul leading with your inner authority of your authenticity, because that is our soul led. And recently I've now embraced my vulnerability, because I used to shame my vulnerability. And I used to be like, oh, God's not vulnerable. And I'm like, well, you've agreed to be human. Yes, you are God, and you're human. And so it's allowing ourselves to be our full human self and divinity embodied simultaneously. And that's where I feel I'm at in my adventure in my life right now, is that remembrance. And sometimes we do forget, and I feel sometimes the more we try to get is when we forget. It's like we try to get something, and I actually channeled that to myself one time. I was asking questions, and I was like, the more you try and you're getting, the more you forget. I'm like, oh shoot, okay. It's really connecting into our being of who we are, and remembering that. And I feel when we come together like this and share our truth and speak our hearts, we awaken codes within our DNA of remembrance.
And talking about that remembering, I love that. The remembering, I'd love to hear from each of you, to share with maybe someone that's listening, or somebody, yes, our audience generally. What is a way, what are you taking from the story as a way of remembering? Because yes, we do need to go and be in the world of, domesticity, and we do need to go back to that world periodically, and responsibilities and children and all, father who's in ICU. So how do we remember our soul selves, our instinctual selves, and the things that nourish us? So yeah, maybe just one kind of tip from each of you. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I start my day each day by actually going up to God, divine, universe, whatever you want to call it, and resonate with, or your higher power. And I ask, how can I serve today? And it helps me set the tone for how I show up. So, and just being really compassionate with yourself, because when you know your values and you know where you're heading, sometimes the best thing you can do is just take one step towards that version of you and show up whatever percentage you are of that day. Like Janaki showing up at not her 100%, but she's showing up at her 100%, at a 20% or a 30%, you know, and it's such an important reminder, you know, even when we're mums, when we're stepping into who we are, that is just a skin. And if you can find a way to do that beautiful dance between the mundane and what lights you up, then that is when you'll get fulfillment in every part of your life.
Yeah, just
Thank you, Catherine. Lovely. I said.
sorry.
Thanks, Jo.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to pop in. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, I was muted because the little puppy's playing with the ball, but you
okay.
probably can't hear it anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so coming home, and I love that, yeah, you check it, like start your day the way you want it to finish. So remembering, you know, what that looks like. And for me, it's about the morning routine, you know, before anything else. I'm first. I set up my day. I see how I want to feel the day. I do my ritual. It's ritual for me, you know, my yoga mat, my walk. And if it doesn't happen, all of it in the morning, it happens throughout the day. So I break it up. So making sure that you are actually committed to tapping into yourself every single day. Tapping into your womb space is a really powerful way to harness the energy that you tap into in the morning, and remembering that, you know, you have the power, and using things that get you pulled off as a reminder to come home, come back into yourself, and do a 5-minute, you know, reset often. Okay, in the beginning, it was very often, as you know, I had brought up 4 children on my own and I ran a business. So it was like, yeah, I get it. It's pulled, and I really want to honor Janica for showing up as well, because that's what's happening is huge, but she's honoring herself and doing what's right for her as well. So even being here is nourishing, right? Because we're connecting with each other, and that's filling out our soul. That's filling us up to keep going.
Lovely. Thank you, Jo.
For me, it's
Sally Ann, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. It's about, I try and always be mindful of being in the heart. So sometimes, you know, there can be a bit of a problem with mind chatter going on. Bring your awareness, or I try and bring my awareness down to my heart, because I can get in a little bit in the head, but always bring myself back to heart, and just be very aware. I think it's important to be very aware of negative mind chatter, because there's a lot of research being done over the years on water, and how water can be impacted by emotions and negative energy around it, like Emoto's water studies, Veda Austin water studies. But from New Zealand, a lot of research being done on water these days. And when we think about it, 70% plus of our body is made up of water. So if we can be kind to ourselves, loving kindness to ourselves at all times, and if we start to come in with negative self-talk, just bring our awareness back to our heart and send love to ourselves and radiate out love into our bodies and into the water, into our bodies. And we can bring profound healing into our lives by actually doing that, by sending love to ourselves, the cells in the body, to the water in our own bodies. We can bring profound healing to ourselves, and this can assist us in being grounded. And when we talk negatively to ourselves, it's almost like a type of, to me, abuse. And so we need to be kind to ourselves and not talking negatively, not negative stuff to ourselves, because that's very unkind. So just being in the heart. So being in the heart, being aware of that, being kind to ourselves, being in our heart, radiating love out to ourselves, and then also to all others we come into contact with. And I think that's very important for our own healing and to assist in healing others. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I definitely agree. I choose to remember who was there. There was a sound journey that when we said we were letting our heart be in the driver's seat and our head was in the back seat. And then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, even we can't see the road ahead and our GPS guides us. And then all of a sudden I heard GPS, God provides support. So when we truly are in our heart, we allow the support that we are. That's the receptivity. That's the sacred structure. And so our head's meant to be the servant. And like Catherine said earlier about how can we serve, that it's about serving our heart first and then serving from that space within our heart. And in each moment giving ourselves grace and compassion. Like the very first time I delivered my masterful class for this I Am Prosperous, or the Prosperous portal that's being delivered, it was amazing. And yet the next day I went into shame spiral. And my husband goes, where's this grace and compassion that you always tell, like grace and acceptance and compassion that you always say it to everyone else? Where's this for yourself? And I'm like, oh, oops. And I realized, oh, wait, let's meet her with love versus shaming her. And then I was able to, love is the fastest way we transmute anything. And it's being able to love those even things we've yet to love and those layers of ourselves. So yeah, I found our heart is the sacred structure.
Thank you. Beautiful. Common thread there of the heart. And the drumming, it's the sun becomes a great drummer. And I very much associate the drum with the heart. Sophia.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you for everyone. This has been a wonderful conversation. For me, it's really just about connection. And it's exactly what everyone is saying, but just a different word. It's connecting with our heart, connecting with with the guidance, whatever you call it, universal God, whatever the high spirit, that you wake up in the morning, and even as Jo's saying and Catherine's saying and everything, is that you're spending time connecting with yourself and following that deep guidance that we all have, that deep knowing that we all have within us when we take off this, what I call false skin, and connect with the deepest part of ourselves, with our intuition, which is what the story is about, is really going within there. It's all about connection.
Yeah. And I think, Sophia, you particularly, just because I know a little bit more about how your work life, you're constantly kind of juggling this, the practicalities and the tech and all of that stuff, and then the heart stuff, going in and out of that. So that I imagine is quite a challenge. It's good practice.
Yes, good practice, and it is quite a challenge, but this is why I love your story. That when we are caught up in the physical world, when we take off our true skin and we're caught up in this world, this body, then we wither. And I experience that all the time when I'm so focused on the doing, the technology. So really, if I can come down to it now that it's coming, this wonderful whole story is the difference, the balance between the being and the doing. And if we do too much, then we wither. Our eyes fade, our spirit fades, our skin withers. But when we can balance that with the being and come back to the sea, come back to our spirit, then, we can live a much more harmonious life. But it's balancing.
Absolutely. We're nearly at time. Thank you, everyone. I feel so nourished. I feel so nourished by this conversation, and I hope you all do too. Sophia, would you like to, how do we wrap it up?
I will wrap it up. Thank you very much. I'm just looking at your next conversation when that's coming up, which is really, really great. I love this going to be, Samantha, is that this is going to be a continual conversation. And it is, your next one is I don't really know, September the 24th, which I'm really looking forward to.
After I've been to Mauritius, where
After
I'm
you've been
going
to
to
Mauritius.
collect some stories, some more stories, and swim with dolphins, and yes,
Yes, so if anyone
and
out there
seals.
who is watching would like to come and join us for Samantha's next conversation, Myths to Feed and Nourish Wild Women, in the end of September, do click on the links below and come and join us. And I just want to say thank you to Jo for coming. I do know Jo's got to pop off, and it's been a wonder to have you. And Catherine and Sally Ann and Janicki, who's filled in at the last moment. Really, really wonderful. And for everyone out there who is watching, just click on the links of all these amazing women, connect with them, hear their stories. And while you're there, come and join Sacred You. It's very simple. It's sacred you, letter U, .love. And if you put /join free, come and join our village for free. And you get to connect with all these amazing women and see some incredible events happening, because we have wisdom circles, we have our panel discussions, we have our special interest tribes, and there's so much more coming too. So thank you so much, Samantha. That has been a joy. And thank you to everyone. Been a wonder.
Beautiful work. Thank you very much, Samantha. It was amazing. And ladies, let's go home.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
go
you,
home.
Samantha.
Let's go home. Let's go back
Bye-bye.
to the sea. The sea, if I can say, sorry, the sea of spirits. Let's go back to the sea of spirits. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank
I'll
you.
let you wrap up.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
And Samantha, did you want to say anything as we finish?
No, I feel like stillness. I feel stillness. So that is my wish for everyone, is to experience that stillness of the deep ocean. Yeah.
Thank you. All righty. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you for that.